Welcome back to the show, everybody. Today we got a very special guest, Mr. Johnny Longinidis. That's the American way of saying it. I cannot say the Greek way very well, even though I wish I could. Johnny, welcome to the show, man. Glad to have you.
Man, so happy to be here. Thank you for having me, guys.
Of course, man. How you doing today? How is it over there in Connecticut?
Weather's been a little bit iffy in July.
Yeah.
Normally we got unabated sunshine all the time. It's been a little bit rainy, whatever. But honestly, compared to some of the other stuff going on in the country, we're doing okay. We're doing okay.
It's not over 100. You're all right.
It's not over 100. Yeah, smoky and things like that. Yeah, I'm not complaining. It's all good. It's all good.
Awesome.
There we go. Well, Johnny, we definitely kind of wanted to tap into your story a little bit. You're in Connecticut. You said you were Greek. You now are into breath work and coaching men and a lot of sports podcasts. Like, tell me about Johnny a little bit. I want to hear about that, my friend.
Yeah, we definitely need to go back because you didn't start off doing this kind of stuff. So there's definitely a story to get to where you are today.
No, yeah, I wasn't born in an ashram. I wasn't born, no, I was not born in a yoga studio. No, there's been a definite evolution, which I think the majority of us in America here, if you're into these practices. I was born here in southeastern Connecticut, and I was born into, first generation Americans. So my parents came here from Greece. And, obviously blue collar, hardworking restaurant, right? Greeks, it's just one of those things. Like we know our food, we know how to cook, and came over here and they figured out a way to capitalize on it. So
Thank goodness.
Yeah. We've fed a lot of people, kept a lot of people happy over the years. So that's, I got born into that industry. So 10 years old, my parents bringing me into the restaurant, dishwashing, and, crying the whole way there because, they're out of their minds bringing a 10-year-old, 11-year-old to work. But, little did I know that they were instilling some values in there that hard work doesn't scare me today. It's, the restaurant will teach you a lot. So, yeah, athletics, young, I would say probably more than your typical upbringing in a sense that, it was a beautiful upbringing, family values and this, that, the third. And, to kind of make a long story short, I was always playing sports, well-liked kid, had no issues in high school, but I started to hit a bumpy road, I would say, around my late teens, where my father got sick. My father got sick around, I was 17 years old. And, at that time, working towards making, having a baseball scholarship, this, that, the third, but I was really just sweeping a lot of my emotions under the rug, and I was masking it with, typical teenager at that time. I'm 41 years old now. So, we're talking late 90s, drinking, smoking weed, things like that. And, what ended up happening with me actually was senior year of high school during the baseball season. I'm working towards a scholarship. I'm putting everything I have into not only being, I wanted to be a professional baseball player, but at the same time, I'm taking care of the family restaurant. So we have a family restaurant, which we still do today. But my father was sick. So I'm 17 years old and I'm helping out my brother and sister, on the weekends. Whereas most of the kids are going off partying or whatever. But I got caught smoking weed actually in the middle of the baseball season. And I got kicked off my baseball team. And that was like pivotal moment, really big turning point for me. Not that I all of a sudden found salvation after that. I won't say that. Not as a 17-year-old or 18-year-old. But I can go back to that, that time right there, and things really started to shift. The growth, the pain that I went through, really. I had to grow up pretty quick. And, my father ended up passing away at 19. I'm away at college. So I'm coming home, taking care of the restaurant. I'm trying to trying to be normal, and trying to be normal essentially just meant just sweep it under the rug.
Right.
Sweep it under the rug, pop an ecstasy pill and have fun on the week, during the week, and go home on the weekends and just keep it going. And honestly, that was going on. It felt like that was all going pretty well for quite some time.
That was working. Yeah.
It was working, Yeah, that was working until it wasn't.
Right. That's usually how that story ends.
Yeah.
Worked for a while and it stopped.
It worked for a while, yeah. Then it stopped. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess I'm going right into this. We're going right into it. Why not?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah. So, I mean, at the time I was competing in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the time. This is the late 2000s. And what really started to get me into the yoga practice, I was competing in Jiu-Jitsu. I was doing CrossFit. I was going out partying. I was doing it all. And my body started falling apart, right? The neck, the back. It's like, oh my God. And it was a good friend of mine that was just, telling me, he's like, go try yoga. Go try yoga. He was a guy as well. And he was instructing, he was teaching. He's like, you got to do it, man. It's going to change so much of your life. Your body's going to feel better. He knew like the body would get me in the door. And so reluctantly I went, and I went to my first hot yoga class, and it was his Black Diamond 90-minute class. And I walked in there with sweatpants on, long sleeve.
Man. Oh man. Sounds miserable.
Did you leave with those?
Yeah. And I suffered. I suffered through the whole class. And as I suffered, I heard everybody else in the class just breathing calm. I was like, what is going on here? I'm like, just panting, right? Like a dog in heat. And I knew, I was like, okay, there's something going on here. That was beyond the physical. I knew right away.
Wow.
And I just kept going back just little by, I was only going like a day a week. And what I started to find, it was really in my jiu-jitsu practice. I was noticing, it was within a few months, I was hanging with like the brown belts and the black belts all of a sudden. And they looked at me. I remember one in particular, he just looks at me and goes, what have you been doing? And I was, what do you mean? Because I hadn't been training anymore. He goes, you got really good fast. What the hell just happened?
Yeah.
And it clicked then. I was like, holy shit. I was like, it's the yoga. It was the breathing. It was all that, because I was learning how to stay comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. It was essentially what was going on. And the breath was my tool to do that. And that's what really started to lead me into diving deeper into these practices.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long do you think that time period was of like randomly, or not randomly, but doing yoga once a week to the point where, how many months or weeks later when you're in jiu-jitsu and this dude's like, hey, what the hell have you been doing?
Yeah.
How long was that?
I would say it was probably about 3 months, somewhere between like 3 to 6 max.
Yeah.
It really wasn't, in the grand scheme of things, not a lot of time like on the yoga mat, but enough was clicking. There was enough going on. And I was taking that home too. At home, I was also just like noticing my breathing, and it was, am I allowed to swear here? Are we going to edit that out? We can say whatever we want. Or just
More or less. Yeah. I mean, I think maybe not the like the
Okay.
top end swear words, but the ones right there in the middle, we're
Okay.
pretty cool with.
And if it's natural, it's all good.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
If
It's just, I guess
It's a case by case thing here, you know?
fair. Yeah, I was breathing like shit. That's what was really going on. It was awful. And I never knew that because
Mhm.
I was hiding that. That was my mechanism to hide all of it, was to hold my breath.
Right.
I never knew that. Nobody was there to tell me that. The Greek way is honestly, what I honestly learned was to sweep things under the rug.
Yeah.
Um, there wasn't to show your emotions. Be a man, not, and even as a family, like you didn't show things were bad. You just kept all that, that's the old school way. So that's what I learned, and I slowly realized like that's, um, to live a happy, fulfilled life. That's the complete opposite way. That's not the way.
Of course.
So,
Yeah, it
yeah.
sounds like that, doesn't that we start to learn that doesn't serve us very well to just sweep it, forget about it, hold our breath. And it's also a strange realization when you realize that not, I mean, I've had this realization too, but that moment you realize that you suck at breathing, but you've been doing it your whole life. That's a
Yeah.
weird one.
It's a weird one. Yeah, it is a
It's a
weird one.
weird one. I went to physical therapy once, and this guy, first 5 minutes of me being there, he's like, "Dude, you walk wrong." I was like, "What?" So
Yeah.
I breathe wrong, and I walk wrong. The things I've been doing the longest, So that was cool. That was my
Yeah.
20s. Yeah.
That's a tough pill to swallow. It's a tough.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, but if you can get over that hump, that ego, right? If you can kind of allow that to take a back seat on the other side, it's literally right. Yeah, sky's the limit. It really is. Yeah.
Did finding the breathing and getting better at jujitsu, was it a natural course of action to quit doing all the partying that was sort of holding you back? Was that just a natural progression, or was there a decision or something that changed there?
Nope, that still didn't do it for me. I needed to get hurt
Mm.
physically. And that's what really ended up happening. I couldn't do jujitsu anymore. I was getting, my neck was hurting so bad that I was like, I can't. I'm training 1 week, I'm off 2, I'm training 2 weeks, I'm off 3. It was like, so I had this period of time. I was literally, as soon as I got done with jujitsu, my buddy's like, hey, there's teacher training coming up. I was like, and it was just, that was really the beginning of me. I consider myself always intuitive. Like I always was delving into some practices. I was practicing meditations and things like that when I was in my late teens and stuff, but I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
But anyway, there was something telling me like, this is too aligned. This is too perfect. It was weird, right? It was like, I'm a restaurant bar owner. I'm the kind of I'm a party guy. I'm, the bachelor. I'm not a yoga instructor. Like, I'm like, so I told him, I was like, I'll go do teacher training, but I'm not going to be a teacher. Very firm with that.
And I'm not going to tell anybody. Yeah.
And I am not going to tell anybody, and you better not either.
Yeah. The yoga stigma out there in Connecticut is deep.
It definitely was. It definitely was. It's still, I like to think the Northeast oftentimes can be maybe not the last to adopt newer, new agey, principles or whatever, but we're not setting trends. Let's just say.
Right. Yeah, you guys aren't the quickest. Yeah.
So that's what really that was it took that. It took that. I was at that time I was 34, 33, and I dove into teacher training. And essentially what ends up happening is you start to learn these things and you're like, oh my God. People need to know this.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute. I'm doing everybody a disservice if I don't share this, is what ended up happening. You end up wanting to share it. And that's what, and it was right away. As soon as I was done, I was teaching right away.
Mm.
And, it went right into, it's like, boom, let's go 5 to 10 classes a week, whatever it was, as I was still running the restaurant. But I was like, you know, just
You
diving.
find yourself wanting to be in the yoga studio teaching yoga far more than being in the restaurant.
Yeah, that was happening. Yeah, there was started to become this kind of shift that I wasn't as aligned with the drinking and the, maybe even some of my older friends. And it was difficult because I did have, like, I'm a sports guy, like that's still part of me. I had a really hard time with not being all of it.
Right.
Right. And I somewhere in my head, it was like it needed to be segmented because it didn't make sense. There was no other really, there was no other blueprint or anybody else that was all of that. You were either, oh, if you're a yogi, this is what it is to be a yogi. And
Right.
right. And if you're sports, this guy, this is what you're supposed to be. So it took me a few years where it was finally, I just accepted all of it. And I really just started embodying all of it. I'm like, I don't know. I'm all of it. And I'm going to walk the walk and talk the talk. I'm gonna be all of it. And whoever accepts me, and that's how I know I'm going to find the people that I'm going to be aligned with. And the people that don't, then I know that you're just not part of my tribe. That's all good. You know?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, there's not a glaring example of being a yogi and a bar owner and a sports guy, but it's pretty cool to think that that's totally okay and possible, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that what I'm finding is that people, they can relate to it.
Mhm.
It's real.
It's real, man. It's like, yeah, other stories of the Buddha and this, that, the third is something to aspire to 100%. But, like, you weren't born in a manger, and you weren't born from what I've seen. I haven't seen anybody born from a virgin and, and put here. Um, if you think you are walking, the walking next second coming of Christ, Christ or whatever it is, like, God, show me some evidence or whatever. But otherwise, what I see is everybody is a human being. And, it's just, what principles are you following and embodying that you're just trying to be the best human being, the best version of yourself that you can, man. And there's a lot of failure and messy things along the way, and that's all good. It's all good.
What we learn from all that adversity. If it was smooth sailing, we wouldn't learn anything or appreciate anything, I don't think.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's talk about the benefits of breathing. So when you and I had previously discussed, there's like a lot of things that can be overcome or skills that can be gained. Let's talk about that, because I find that truly fascinating. And I know we do that in our program. If people don't want to do CrossFit, we do the breathing yoga, but I really want you to sort of delve into the benefits of doing that and how it can really benefit anybody.
Yeah. I always say that breathing within the yoga practice or even without it, to me, it's the alpha and the omega. It really is. It's going to become a measurement of baseline health to understand where you are, just not only physically in your physical health, but also your emotional body and your emotional health, and how your ability to handle stress. It's all shown. It's revealed from your breathing. So we can look at our breath as either like a measuring stick, as a barometer in a sense. So we can get a good idea of how you are feeling, right? Or what your ability to handle stress is by the way that you breathe. And you can also look at it as a tool, as a gateway to also shift that. It's to also change your state, to shift your state by shifting your breathing as well. So it's incredibly powerful. And just like Dallas said, it's like You know, when somebody tells you you're breathing improperly, or, you know, I don't like to tell anybody they're breathing wrong, but um, you know, you're not breathing as efficient as you could be. A lot of people are just like, you know, don't tell me that. I benched 325, you know,
Yeah.
or I
They
just,
got evidence that supports they've been breathing just fine.
right, yeah. Or I just ran 10 miles,
Mhm.
or whatever it is. And that's really the, you know, that's a big target too, is people that I see there, is that what most people have learned to do is just learn how to mask, uh, and power through just dysfunctional breathing. Um,
Would you
but
consider breathing the same as meditation? Can you do one without the other? Do they need each other?
I would say that breathing would be your strongest, most powerful gateway to a deep meditative state. So oftentimes I like to say I use the breath as the back door to get to meditation. So I
Mhm.
won't coach people in meditation because a lot of people, that can turn people off, especially guys like Dallas might, right? Um, they might be like, yeah, meditate. I was like, I'm not, I can't sit still. I can't turn my mind off. It's like, okay, I got you. Well, let's just do this breathing exercise. Let's see if challenge them to do. It's like, can you breathe 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out, put some music on, and just follow your breath and guide them through that. And essentially, what they've done in those 5 minutes is you've cultivated the tool to get you into meditation without knowing it. You've sat still, and most times I'll do that 5 minutes, they'll go 10 minutes. Now you just sat still for 10 minutes and you were focusing on one thing, right? You're, as best you could, you're focusing on one point, your breath. That's the definition of meditation. So it's how it's what I found is just that it's the perfect gateway, it's the perfect delivery system to get into meditation. There's no doubt.
Yeah, I know it's also an amazing tool for just getting into the present. You know, that's the trigger you hear is like when you get lost, find your breath. When you wander your mind off, find your breath. Like that is like the anchor to being in the present, is really discovering the breath, or reminding yourself and being aware of the breath.
Yeah, it's our connection to our body, right?
Yeah.
It's our connection to presence, and our connection to our body. Um, so there's a reason why it was, you know, if you look at you know, the 8 limbs of yoga, let's just say, right, it's the fourth limb. It's like, um, it's the last physical limb in the, or the first. Wait, what am I saying? Yeah, no, it's the last physical, right before you start getting into the, like, a lot of the mental chatter, because without or mental stillness, because without that, without getting into your breath and controlling, pranayama is that. Pranayama being like the restraint of, or the control of your breath, or
Mhm.
control of life force energy, right? Um, and so they knew, like, this is how you control your life force energy, is by controlling your breathing.
Yeah.
And we're just starting to find that out now. It seems to be, right. It's really starting to get revealed in the Western society, Western culture. And that's really my mission now, is I've found that through the breath, I've been able to let so many things go. I've been able to find out more about myself. I've provided myself these tools to get back to stasis. You don't have to be a yogi sitting in meditation all day long, but let me provide you some tools so you know how to get back there, because we all redline at times, right?
Yeah.
And you can't always have a barbell around and throw weights around or whatever it is, but you always, always have your breath.
True.
So, you
That's a
know,
great point. Yeah. That's a great point. It's a coping skill or a strategy or a tool that is always with you. And I think the crazy part for me too is I notice that when my breathing is shallow or erratic, is it's when I'm stuck in my head. It's when I'm creating something to be anxious about or worried about. And it's So it's almost like when I'm not breathing, it alerts me that something's wrong and to start breathing better. And like you said, it's if you can be aware of that, it's always this tool that you have. And it's kind of a quick fix once you realize that you can continue to just breathe, dude, and be okay.
Yeah, no doubt. I like to use a term. It's like, your heart rate monitors and your Apple Watches, they're late to the party.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're late to the party. Your breath will tell you way before that.
Yeah.
It'll tell you
It
way
seems like
before
it's an amazing tool for someone who might be experiencing anxiety, because it seems like with anxiety, there's that shortness of breath and I'm having a heart attack and things are going on. And if they could learn this tool, if they start feeling that way, they can get themselves through that and remind themselves to breathe and get to the other side more easily.
No doubt. Yeah. It's like for some people, I might not ever get them to be, I won't even we might not have time to dive into CO2 tolerance, but they might not be free divers holding their breath for 5 minutes underwater. And can I get you, or can I provide you tools that can get you from an 8 when you're heightened to a point and you're at an 8 and you can get yourself down to a 6, or, maybe even that might be just enough where it's not snowballing out of control into a panic attack. And that 6 is enough for you to be, all right, now I got my feet on the ground. Okay, good, boom. I'm not allowing my mind to control. I'm back into my heart, into my body. So it's just enough. Like that to me, like that's the biggest win you could ever have right there. Because who knows what could have happened. You get to the 9, you start seeing red and you're in total sympathetic state. That's when all bets are off.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
It's hard to reel in. It's hard to reel that in if you let it get too far.
No doubt.
So you're actually doing a lot for somebody by teaching them how to just rein it in, even to where it's just manageable.
No
and
doubt.
They have it wherever they're at. You and I had also discussed, like, people with asthma, their first instinct is to grab that inhaler, like, they feel the panic and they want to, get that steroid. And I think a lot of it's as much mental as it is physical needing of it. But, and I know you've seen and almost cured people with asthma without them needing that device or that steroid anymore with the breath work.
100%. 100%. It's just kind of sad to see. I've worked with a few asthmatics that are almost completely off of their inhalers. And I really didn't do that much. It wasn't like groundbreaking work I was doing. I saw one lady and we worked for about 6 weeks. And I said, has any of your pulmonologists or any of your doctors told you that, that you're a mouth breather? And she was breathing paradoxically as well, where like her stomach would go in on the inhale and it would go out on the exhale paradoxically.
Is
And
that bad?
essentially she was just all sympathetic. It's 2 first things I teach people. And this is, if your listeners are going to get anything, is just understand that breathing into your chest, I don't care who you are, this is where you're human. So you have an abundance of chemoreceptors up here that trigger sympathetic. So what's going on in our society right now is that we are just being inundated and hammered with sympathetic information that keeps us heightened, sympathetic, boom. Look at all the go on Netflix, man, and everything on there is like, for the most part, it's like exciting, right? It's like, boom, this, that, third. So people are just unconsciously breathing shallowly, which is perpetuating a sympathetic state. So unknowingly, you're just taxing your adrenal system and you're staying sympathetic by breathing up here. But in your lower lobes of your lungs, you have chemoreceptors down there that trigger that signal of parasympathetic tone. So the simple act of creating that mind-body connection, what you'll find is a lot of people are just so tight. They get stuck when they try to deliver breath deeper. And it's just a matter of being patient. It's a matter of practicing. It's a matter of giving yourself permission. Like sometimes you have to have that conversation with your subconscious and literally give yourself permission that you're safe. you know, so you can our physical body holds our emotions. I'm sure, as you guys know, right? Like we've created these certain types of, whether it's tightness or whatever it is, we've had an experience that remembers that in our body. So anyways, so over time, little by little, yeah, I am safe. Just delivering breath into your lower lobes. It's like, wait a minute, okay. And now, instead of 80% of your day in a sympathetic, you're 50%, 40%. When you're in the parasympathetic state, that's when you can learn. That's when you're not tunnel vision. It's the majority of our day needs to be in more balanced in parasympathetic for the most part.
That's super interesting. I don't think I've ever heard it languaged that way, but I think I could see that just being so true, whether it's with clients I work or with, or myself, or just day-to-day stuff. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Is there like a strategy that you use to help get on like a parasympathetic breathing pattern that's like simple for most people? How do you get people going towards that direction besides just kind of like, hey, let's be aware that we're doing that?
Yeah, so everybody's different. It really is case by case, but so so if somebody comes in, so oftentimes physically, it's like, let's get some stuck energy out first.
Right.
And that doesn't have to be like a 60-minute HIIT class, but I mean, I might just literally be like, let's just stand up and bounce.
Yeah.
I have a lot of my clients do. I'll do that for like a couple minutes. It's kind of fun and weird, so it breaks the ice.
Yeah, if you had me doing that, I don't know if I'd be like all about that.
Yeah, Angie might be like, all right, this isn't the guy for me. He's trying.
Yeah, this is a little weird.
She'll be breathing through her chest.
Yeah.
Her chest will be tight as she's avoiding.
Yes, that might get her. She might get more.
Yeah, maybe a little different for girls.
Yeah, right. To be fair, yeah, 100%. You again, know your audience.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll bounce with you, Johnny.
Yeah, thanks, bro. Thanks. But to give you an example, or it might just be like, we'll do some cat cows and a little bit some yoga poses I'll implement in just to get the body unstuck.
Yeah.
Stuck energy. And then from there, oftentimes is where I'll start is one hand on your chest, one on your diaphragm, and just apply a little bit of pressure so you got some biofeedback. And just notice, right? So 2 aspects of breath work: breath awareness and conscious breathing, right? So this gets missed a lot because everybody just wants to dive in. They want to go, let's get feeling, man. Let's get in transformational breath work. Let's get in there, right?
They want to Wim Hof it.
We want to Hof it, man. And that's all good. I love Wim. Really good friends with one of his head instructors, and we're starting to actually do some courses together ourselves.
Oh, nice.
Not with Wim himself. I'm hoping to connect with him soon, but and his methodology, I would say, very similar to CrossFit, where it brought so much awareness and attention to the breath, as CrossFit brought so much awareness and attention to physical activity and community as well. Was it Greg Glassman? Just did an amazing job of doing that. His model was just spot on.
Yeah. He nailed it.
But there are other aspects to it that gets missed, and it's like, become aware of your breath first. Notice it. Create a relationship to it. Pay attention to it. It's providing you information, like we said earlier, right? Sometimes you just need to be aware of it. So the breath is breathing you.
Mm-hmm.
And then conscious breathing. You are controlling the breath. Now you're doing the breathing. And that dance between the two is where we start, where you want to be playing around the majority of your day, is being aware and consciously breathing, right? So where am I going with that? But I mean,
Well, I know I was having a day, and you put a free breathing meditation on Instagram, and I just listened to it, and it was just a really nice, I think, it was the counting of 4 in and hold it for 4 and 4 out or something like that. But it was exactly what I needed, just to sort of snap me out of whatever, was going on, and pay attention to my breath and get relaxed and get to a nice place. And for me, I prefer a guided type of breathing and meditation, as opposed to, just like CrossFit. I like to be told, here's what you're doing, and I know the end result. So I actually prefer someone guiding me through this kind of exercises than being left to my own devices. I find it really helpful for me.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I appreciate that very much. And I agree with you because, if you have to think about it, then it's like, is
Right.
it kind of defeating? Then I'm thinking again, it's like, is it defeating? It's like, just, right.
That's
Right.
true.
Right. How
Yeah.
does it help athletes? I know you work with a lot of athletes, even some football stars, different things like that. How does it assist them in their crafts?
Mm. So on a few different levels, you can look at it as just like we said, it can get them to harness their emotions, right? Because we all know that harnessing your emotions in such a stressful environment. Let's just say you're in the fourth quarter of a NFL game, and it's pretty easy to get wrapped up in and let your head get lost in there. So if we can start to create a practice that brings, just like we said, come back to your breath and notice that. Now, I just forget about everything else, but let me just practice here. Just notice. Let me go nose breathing, breathe in for 3 and breathe out for, let's say, 5. Stretch out your exhale, and that is a signal to trigger parasympathetic, just to get you down from that 8 to a 6. So right there, it's like, boom, right? I got a tool that maybe 90% of these guys aren't using. And 2 is CO2 tolerance. So you can skyrocket your aerobic capacity by adapting to your tolerance level to CO2. What signals your breathing rate has very little to do with a lack of oxygen. Very little to do with it. I would have to have you hold your breath for a minute or whatever, however long, or have you go into a high elevation for your blood oxygen saturation to go to a point where that is the reason why you take another breath. The reason that you're breathing the way that you're breathing has everything to do with your tolerance level to CO2. So depending on how intolerant or tolerant you are, because you need to offload that feeling you have of like breathlessness, like, oh my God, I need to breathe, is a buildup of CO2. It's not a lack of oxygen. So
Totally opposite of what you would think it is.
it's the paradox. We call it the oxygen paradox. And that's where most people, that one gets a lot of people. Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I've never heard that before. Wow, it's interesting.
Yeah. So the cool thing about it is, and this is what freedivers do. It's like, how the hell do they hold their breath? They're doing breathing exercises to build a tolerance level to CO2.
Gotcha.
They can just tolerate that because I got enough air in my blood, actually. I have enough oxygen in my blood, but I literally have to put myself through some stress so I can adapt to it and then withhold and then whatever, right? And for aerobic capacity, yeah, it's powerful stuff. This is really like the game changer that you're going to see with a lot of athletes is working on this. There's no doubt.
That's definitely mind blowing. I mean, dude, I've worked out forever and sports and this and that and study and learning and mindfulness and breathing, and that's never crossed my book. And I guess my question is, and I hope it's not too obvious, but how do you practice becoming more comfortable with the CO2 tolerance? Like, what does that look like? Just putting yourself under duress?
Yeah, right. So it's not putting yourself to a point where it's like, I'm not going to be, it's like, all right, I know, let's just say, you know, you have a measurement, right? We have a few tests that you run and your tolerance level is not very good,
Hmm.
right? And that could be, trust me when I tell you, I just was talking with an NFL player and we're hoping to work together soon. And clearly, like his tolerance level of CO2 is not good,
Like
but
below average.
I would probably say below average. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yep. His will is so strong.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He can just power through anything, any pain and whatever it is, but it's coming at a cost.
Hmm.
It's taxing his body. He doesn't need to expend this much energy to do that. So it's like, what if, bro? It's like, what if we could work on this for 2 months in the off season where you got yourself uncomfortable here, but you shifted everything around. So then come game time, you're cruising through the fourth quarter, whatever it is, you know,
Wow.
that can be done. So to answer your question of how, you start very slow. Just like you wouldn't start anybody that just walked into the gym. You wouldn't
Right.
pop two plates on a bar and have them bench 225. You know,
Good point. Yeah.
yeah, it's very similar, right? So you just start very, very slow, and little by little, the body adapts. It's a beautiful,
That's
beautiful
totally.
thing.
I would assume, and that for me, this is what keeps going through my head is because this is the time of year watching the Olympics. Like I feel like those swimmers, Michael Phelps, you know, Ledecky, all these people, they have to have become masters over their breathing for that particular sport because of the going underwater and catching your breath and the endurance. And it seems like for them, that's what you're talking about. They've learned to be in control of that.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Whether or not they're specific, I'm sure they have. They do probably some specific exercises so they can keep their head underwater. That's essentially breathing exercises that they're doing. Or whether or not it's just inherently just kind of have like a byproduct of, you know, the sport. But
Right.
yeah, I would say that a lot of those guys are probably just inherently probably really good breathers. Although you can't breathe out of your nose while you're swimming, and that's a kind of a whole other thing. Like, but during sport, that's fine. You know, they need to do whatever they need to do. But the
Yeah, and
majority,
I'm sure their CO2 tolerance becomes really great because of that. Yeah.
yeah, I'd actually be curious. I haven't really worked with like any high level swimmers yet, but you know, if Michael Phelps is watching or listening, then,
Hit me up in the DMs, Michael. Yeah.
damn,
If he's
bro.
watching, we're doing good.
I
Yeah,
don't think
right.
he's watching, bro. Yeah.
Call him out.
So you and I had talked like a part of what you do to look at helping somebody as you watch their breathing. Just simply you just watch them breathe. Tell us about that. How does that work for you, or what is that like?
Yeah, well, I try not to make it too weird, you know what I mean? And just like, because, you know, at the surface, that sounds pretty weird. So that's why we just have, there's tests, there's measurements that you can do. There's two tests that I use that are essentially, they're CO2 tolerance tests, and anybody can do them. One is, that's kind of derived from the freediving community, is an extended exhale. So it's literally just measuring the amount of time that you can exhale one breath. So you'll want to start with like rein in your breath, take about 5 normal breaths, call it 3 seconds in, 3 out, 4 in, 4 out, whatever it is. Just like, okay. And then you take that breath in and then time your exhale. Go as long as you can until you're completely empty, or you swallow and you stop breathing. Time that. That's one measurement. Anything below 30 seconds is below average. And yeah, I know, Dallas, I hear you, bro. Yeah, it's almost anybody is going to probably be there unless they're swimmers or they're practicing, and it's all good because it doesn't take long, believe it or not, with practice to kind of get you over that 40, 50, and then ideally you get over that 60 seconds, and that's when you have a really good control of of your tolerance to CO2, which, side note, I just want to make sure, like, very closely related to an ability to handle stress. Your ability to tolerate CO2 has a very strong correlation with your ability to handle stress.
I bet.
Hmm.
And so I definitely agree with that. Why is that true? Could you explain why that's so true?
Sure. So if you, I mean, if you're on a few different levels. So we literally have a watcher in our medulla oblongata, which is the breathing center, right? Like the lizard brain in our brain, the center, and it's literally looking for your exhale, and it's checking out. If your exhale is extended, it's like, oh, we're calm here, everything's good. Like if you're able to just
Breathe.
then it's just like it knows, like, all right, everything is good. But if your exhale is short, it's like it's checking out, and it's like, wait a minute, that exhale was short for like 3 breaths here. We need to be vigilant. So it kicks you up into sympathetic, right? Because sympathetic is good for short spurts. Get our asses out of danger. That's why that's why we're designed this way. So in that sense, right, it's hardwired.
Mm-hmm.
It's hardwired in our
It's
system.
hardwired to be like it's like a heightened alert system that's just hardwired into us.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's hardwired, man. Let's not fight nature.
Yeah, you can't beat that one.
Genetic.
No. Yeah, and it's oftentimes like CO2 is considered, like we call it, the stress molecule in a lot of ways, because if I were to like I said, if you would just hold your breath for 30 seconds, you guys want to play around with that, go ahead and hold it, and you start to feel what starts to come up when you start needing breath. Like your mind starts, right? Get me out of here. What the fuck, right? These thoughts
you start zooming.
yeah, you start going nuts. So it literally just correlates to stress. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that kind of,
That definitely answers the question. And what's helpful for me is I think like the science or the data or the information is extremely helpful, because if you don't know that, you'll create a different answer. And whatever you come up with, I'm sure is less helpful than like, hey, I'm just not exhaling. My body thinks something's wrong. Let's remind it that nothing is. And then that's all good. That seems like simple and doable and manageable. But I would imagine the vast majority of people don't know that, or don't have that information, or don't have someone like you saying, hey dude, this is totally normal. Let's just get back on track. Everything's fine. Let's start breathing.
yeah. It's really good to have a reference point. And also I think for Western society especially, and like, and when I say Western, I'm Western society, right? It's data does help, right? It's
Yeah.
like giving people the why, and giving people so it's not so esoteric. It's like, oh well, this is because this is what they said 4,000 years ago and that worked for them. People don't really like magic that much.
No, they don't.
Love it.
They hate magic. Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not going to buy into just magic. So you got to give me a little bit more. So it's like, well, all right. So here's the data, man. Like here's the numbers, and it gives people something solid to be like, oh, now that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Perfect. So you run an online men's group, is that right?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Tell
Yes,
us about that. I think that's an amazing resource that some of our listeners might want to join or be a part of.
Yeah, I'd love that. I appreciate that. So I just restarted it back up 2 weeks ago. It was something I started over the pandemic. It was really, actually, it was kind of the launching pad for my business. Was I just knew that I can speak to guys, I could speak to men, and I wanted to teach them yoga and principles of yoga, but I wanted to do it in a way that I knew would be digestible. So that's what I did. And I started a yoga for men group that started to kind of take off just locally. I was like, I really wanted to learn my business slowly. And, I started to have like, it was about 20 up to like 30 members or whatever we got. And then I pulled back because there was a lot of other things that I wanted to do. I wanted to make sure I was building my business right. But anyhow, so now I've re-kicked it back up. So I got a lot of the older members that they're back in, where it's it's a Facebook group that I run, and it's, I do a one yoga class a week, so they know they got that. It's recorded. They can check it out whenever they want. But along with that, it's creating community too. So I keep it very interactive. There'll be meditation sessions in there. Um, there'll be pop-up breathwork sessions, and a lot of conversation where you know guys can open up, man, and talk about some things that they would just, it's not just bar talk. We can talk about some other things, and so it's going to continue to evolve, where I'm bringing in other speakers and other people that that can add in so many other different avenues and different things that can just help men to open up and discover and use these modalities that have been so stigmatized for years. And that's got to go. That's got to go. So yeah, so
I
it's
think
slowly kind of starting back up, and I'm gonna actually be starting a mastermind group to really accelerate the teachings of my course, the Yoga for Men course. That's also another program that I'll have. If people just want to learn, men just want to learn yoga on their own, I have a course that will be up by next week. They can just learn that, and once they learn that, boom, come into the group, be part of the community, and yeah, I'm hoping to see that really flourish and take off.
So where could people find that?
Yeah, so as of right now, it's actually funny. Time is it? In about an hour, I'm meeting with my web designer to finally put my website live that I've just been kind of.
Nice. Congrats,
Yeah.
man. That's huge.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you.
Of course.
Because as of right now, honestly, Instagram and social media is just such a monster. You can really do so much work, and
One-stop shop.
seriously. So as of right now, follow me on Instagram, Johnny Longinidis. And you'll see there'll be plenty of links there. My website's pranayamact.com, and that link will be up on my Instagram, and you'll be able to see all of my courses, everything from my Breathwork 101 course, another recorded course if you want to just take that on your own. Yoga for men, and obviously if you want to work on a more personal level, one-on-one, I take clients one-on-one that want to take that deep personal dive into any of these modalities, or if they want to go deeper and like we want to go personal development, let's go.
Yeah,
we can.
I love that. I love that. I think the thing that's been coming up for me this whole episode, which is cool, is one time at Elevate, we had this client that was extremely into yoga. Like the 1 hour of yoga that we offered a day was like not enough for him. And he was reading the yoga books, and he like knew too much about it, that the idea of doing yoga at Elevate was like a turn off to him. He's like, dude, I'm so into yoga that like I don't even want to do it with you guys, like type of thing.
Yeah.
And he was telling me, however, that like the physical yoga, like doing the yoga classes, is like 5 to 10% of like what yoga actually is.
Yeah.
I've never known if that's true or not true, but today it feels like it is, from talking to you, that there's so many other avenues, that like the physical yoga is just like the doorway, it's the entrance, it's the beginning of 90% of this other avenue of breath and everything that you were talking about. And to me, that's just so interesting, that the yoga as we understand it could just be, that's just the beginning.
It's the third limb of the 8 limbs. And again, I don't want to just reference just like the yoga Bible here, but there's a reason why. It would be, because like anything, I think it evolves and it has to adapt to a society, right? This isn't
right, of course.
Ago. But to be fair, yeah, it's just the physical practice is really to get the body limber, loose, and aligned, so you can get to a place where energy is flowing freely through you, and you can get into a place where you can sit still for meditation. But now it's for Instagram, profile pictures, man. Like how,
Yeah.
yeah, man. And I
Yeah.
listen, I'm guilty too, so I got some stuff like that too.
But it's kind of like
It's for a
anything.
good cause.
Yeah, the more you do it, it becomes a spiritual practice, not just a practical breathing. I feel better. Like you start to peel away the layers of the onion and dive super deep, where some people, who've been doing it long enough can really take it to that next level spiritually, right?
Yeah, 100%, Ange. Yeah, it's like the physical gets you in the door, just like me. That's what brought me in. Physical
Yeah.
gets you in the door, and the mental aspect, the emotional aspect, the spiritual aspect is what will keep you coming back.
Yeah.
And
I love that. And yeah. What were you going to say? Sorry.
a lot of it, sometimes you just can't even explain it.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like, how do you feel? It's like, I don't. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sitting here. I'm not trying to push any kind of dogma belief on you. I'm not saying believe in this God, believe in that, believe Shiva did that, whatever. Right? How do you feel? You feel like you can get in touch with your body a little bit more? Can you actually listen, like when your gut is actually starting to tell you something now? Because you've created this mind-body connect, because you've cleared out some clutter.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's like you're not just using this to make decisions, but you're starting to use this and this. You're starting to use your heart and your gut.
Yeah.
When you can do that, man, it's like
Life gets better.
life is just better. It just starts to become like I get into situations and my gut tells me something. It's like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
The super cool part of it is it's kind of like Elevate, is it's non-denominational. Like you don't have to prescribe to a specific religion or God or anything. Like anybody could get benefits out of this, and it's completely personal what comes through for them with the continued practice.
Yeah, that's great. And I know obviously, your listeners know all about you guys, but just so your place Elevate, is it in-house? So it's clients are coming in there for 30 days, 60 days or whatever it is. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, non-denominational, you can come in with any spiritual belief that you want. And we're here to help anybody and everybody without having to prescribe to any specific thing with that, at least.
That's awesome, man. You guys are doing some, I mean, whatever your God is, whatever you're doing, you're doing his or her work for sure. That's powerful work, because there's a lot of people that they're just, they're all, we're all, most, not everybody I run into, they're good people, man. They're just lost. So
Yeah.
just don't have certain tools. That's it. It's like, man, if you just knew this, maybe things could be different. Who knows,
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Johnny. I love how simply you put that, like if you guys just have some more tools, things would be better. And the sad part is it's true, it's super true. And it's almost like, to me, the question that is like, what, like with like the things we've been talking about today, it seems so like it's the answers are always very simple, and it's more to me like what gets in the way of the simplicity, and it could almost be breathing. It could almost be the thinking, like the breathing and the thinking. If we could just get a handle on those two things, those two tools would change your life, and will change someone's life for the better 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, man. I think you nailed it. I think what's gotten us all in trouble is it's either our biggest enemy, or it can be our best friend, is
Yes.
this thinking mind, right? This prefrontal, this cortex and all that. It's just we just get stuck in it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us we're stuck in it. And let's just find other ways to not be stuck in it, to use, our whole body to make these decisions, and not just that.
Yeah. And I love your approach too. And I love it because it relates to ours as well, of doing CrossFit, doing 10 minutes of mindfulness for people that just got off drugs yesterday. People are coming off drugs. They got 1 week sober, 2 weeks sober, months, whatever it may be. But in the day, our goal is to just get out of your head, dude, for at least 10 minutes. And if we can start doing that, their life gets better. And it's hard to name what that is, but whether it's a process group or whether it was CrossFit or yoga or meditation in the morning, or maybe it was just at lunchtime, you got to eat some fried chicken and just be happy for 10 minutes. And you see that is enough for some people. It's like enough to keep going for tomorrow. And I just think that's so beautiful. And you were saying the same thing with your coaching. Let's start small. Let's just breathe right now. And I love that method. I love that idea.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. That's powerful, man. That's powerful. Yeah. I love that you guys are offering so many different, like you have a lot of different pillars, it seems like, and it's like, it's not one size fits all. It's like, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe it's this. And chances are one of these is just going to trigger something in you.
Yeah.
Something where it gave you that little bit of a good feeling. It made you connect with somebody, on a deeper level that you haven't. Made you think about. Oftentimes I tell people, it's like, when I'm coaching them one-on-one, it's like, we get so into patterns, right? Into habits of whatever it is that we do. Go do something different, anything, and just break a pattern, right? Pattern interrupts. And that thing doesn't have to be the thing that you're going to do forever. But the fact that you broke a pattern, you tried something different, starts to open up a different neurological pathway. Just that. Right. And, that in and of itself can be like the shift, right? The tipping point. So if yoga seems like it's weird for you, and it doesn't seem like, if something's telling you like, that's a little bit weird, like I run to the weird. It's like, if that's weird, like I'm going to go do that, because I know on the other side, even though I might not, maybe it's dance, a tap class. I don't know. Like, who knows? I'm not going to go do that for the rest of my life. Maybe I will, but who knows? Well, you know what I mean? Like I might have met one person there that might have opened up, it shed some layer of like this shield I had of like fear of judgment or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? It's like, go try everything, man, because you never know who you're going to meet, what it's going to open up for you. And I think that that's so often where people get stuck is a fear of other people's opinions.
Right.
Oh, 100%.
Well, and they get stuck in a rut. They have the routine. Okay, today I do this, I do that, and I love what you said, because I've experienced that myself. Like, you need to break up and do something different, and it creates neuro pathways. Like, go somewhere different on vacation than like I love going to Hawaii. I want to go to Hawaii every year, but it's like, go somewhere different, and it just gives you like it creates like a new spark in your brain and your body. And if you mix up your routine, or you try things you've never tried, or you do things you've never done, or go to places you've never been.
Yeah. And not to bring this back to the breath again, I'm not like shamelessly plugging, but
hey, be that guy. Be the guy that does that. That's you, brother. That's a good thing.
A teacher of mine who I'm actually have the good fortune of connecting with, he's going to be doing a seminar at my studio on August 22nd. I'm working on stream, actually having that stream live. So yes, you guys want to learn from me and awesome. But when you get a chance to learn from a master, you go learn, you take a back seat and you allow the master to do his work. And so Dan Brule is going to be doing a seminar at my studio. And he's like, in my opinion, I think nobody's really learned. He's learned from all the masters back in the 70s and 80s. He's made it his life's work. Anyways, he has a saying where he says, is like, if you're trying to change anything in your life and you haven't explored shifting your breathing, you're missing the fundamental foundation of change. So if you're looking to change anything, start first by shifting how you breathe. And it begins to open up the possibility for you to start to shift anything else. So yes, go do other things too, but you can also just change your breathing, and it's all of a sudden something happens within you. All of a sudden it opens up. Possible. This is why breath work, like transformational breath work, has become so popular and so powerful right now. And it's, because of that, people are just like, I don't know what's going on. Like they're coming out of sessions and they're crying. And it's like, I went through 10 years worth of therapy in a breathwork session. What is that?
Right. That's a bizarre testimonial, but it's true.
Yeah.
I think
Just a release.
Yeah, I think breath work, yoga, mindfulness, unfortunately, has had this like buzzwordy, like culture-y, like feeling to it. So some people are like very like turned off to the idea of like, and I think the answer to me is that there's people on Instagram not like you that have been doing meditation for 2.5 months, and they're hopping on and telling the world about their crazy realizations and that they're like expert breathers now.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the problem. But people like you are so much more reassuring that the way you're saying it is so simple and so accurate and so true
And logical.
and it doesn't push people away. We're trying to pull them in by just being very real about it and saying, dude, if you want to enjoy life more, I have a couple tools. If you want them, let me know. If you don't, that's okay.
Yeah, it's all good.
And that approach lands so much better than hopping on Instagram and being like, you guys are breathing wrong. You guys suck. You need to get in the gym like I do. I hate that message so much.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you. It's
Of course, man.
Yeah, that's intention. It's like, what's your intention? And it's like, so if your intention is to, clearly that's somebody that hasn't done some inner work, and they just,
Right.
they're just, for me, it's like, I don't, I've been through some tough times in my life, and I've come out the other side. I've lived 100% of my worst days. So I'm at the point now, I'm 41, and I wouldn't be talking to you guys right now if I was 31. I wouldn't be talking to you guys at 35. I wasn't ready yet. So now it's like, yeah, I can deliver that message from the right intention. Like I face my stuff every day. People think meditation is this beautiful, serene, quiet place. Well, let me tell you something. I sit in meditation every morning for, let's say, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever it is. Sometimes 90% of that is not very comfortable.
I bet.
No.
It's an arena in there.
Yeah. But I'm practicing letting that go. And as my meditation coach has said to me, if you're having a meditation where it's like this dark stuff is coming up, whatever, it's uncomfortable, you had a good sitting.
Good. Yeah, good.
Good. It's coming up to be let go. So let's let go of these ideas that yoga, meditation, this, that, the third, I can't sit because my mind doesn't turn off. Well, it's like, welcome to the human race.
Mm-hmm.
Your mind doesn't turn off. It's just about learning how to shift your relationship to all of it. Yeah.
So true. And it's difficult to the audience, to myself, a reminder. It's so difficult. That's why people don't do it. But it's why we have a lot of the problems that we have. So it's a paradox.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's not easy. But it's important to know, it's like, you're not any different.
Right, exactly.
Than even the advanced meditator. I promise you, he's sitting there quiet and he's going through it.
Yeah, he's at war with himself.
Yeah. Yeah. He's going through it.
I think the coolest part about meditation, yoga, breathing is you just can take it with you wherever you go. If you're in a moment of crisis, if you get some bad news, if even you're having a good day, you can, once you've really developed that practice or the habit, you can always use and access it. It's not like, oh, shoot, I forgot that at home. Damn it. It's like, it's always with you. And you just have to remember to learn and access it. And you'll forever have, like, I don't want to call it a crutch, but you'll have that tool with you at all times.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah. I'm all about that, man. I'm all about like, you know, less physical, tangible tools. I don't got to buy this for $200 on Amazon. I don't have to have,
Right.
membership here or whatever, whatever it is. I want to be able to provide people tools and have the tools that it's like, you have these forever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They're always there. You want to reference me for sure. You want community. Yeah. Like we all want that. Like that's important. But yeah, you're 100% right, Ange. Yeah. It's like, it's always there.
It's always there, but it takes consistency. It's not like you learn it once and you're good to go. It's like, and I think that's where people give up. It's like before they get to that point where it is a habit or it is the go-to or it is part of their routine. People just don't have the capacity or will to keep it going before it
Yeah.
becomes part of their life.
Yeah. As the saying goes, repetition is the mother of skill. It's
Yeah.
like you want to build a skill set, you just got to do it a lot.
Yeah, there's no shortcut.
Yep.
It's always simple.
Yeah, whether it's raining, whether it's sunny, whether it's a good day, a bad day, whether you're out of town, you're in town, you just got to get that consistency in.
Yeah,
it becomes part of who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah, even like today, I think it's always better to have small amounts more consistently and steady than larger amounts. Like, all right, I didn't meditate. Let's just say I didn't meditate yesterday, so now I'm going to meditate double the next day. Like that doesn't translate. Like this morning for me, I got up late for whatever reason. I only had time to sit. I did my breath work and I sat meditation 10 minutes, which is normally, it takes me whatever, half hour to an hour. But that 10 minutes was enough to shift. I got out of the dream I had last night, which shook me up. And it shifted my state enough where it's like, all right, you're here, you're okay. That didn't happen, I don't think. And
I don't think.
It didn't. I hope not. I don't know if that was that another realm, whatever. So, but it was enough for me to like create that barrier. It's like, okay, boom. So a little bit every day is better than a lot of it a few days.
So true. So true. That's. You ever read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear?
Atomic Habits?
Yeah, Atomic Habits by James Clear.
No,
Great book, but that's basically the basis of all of his work. Like building skills and tools and habits and routines and starting small. He said he started working out by doing every time he went to the bathroom, number one or number two. If he went number one, he'd do 10 push-ups. And if he went number two, he'd do 10 air squats. And so he said, even to this day, it's been 20 years, he called it habit stacking, where you stack one habit on top of the other one, like start doing something new with something you're already doing. And that was like how he got into being this elite fitness guy, is just like, you know what, every time I pee, I'm going to do 10 push-ups and just start doing it every day. And he's been doing it for 20 years. He's like, I still do. I'll be in the airport bathroom and I'm got to do 10 air squats,
Just sounds so gross to do it in a bathroom, especially a public bathroom. I don't know if I could do that.
That's brilliant though. I love, so no matter what, he's doing at least like 30 push-ups a day or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love, that's brilliant. I love that. Yeah.
Right. Me too. I'm like, okay. But I remember I'm like, dude, push-ups on the bathroom floor. Like,
yeah,
that's dedication,
Yeah, that says a lot about his mindset for sure.
Yeah.
Is he a military
Chest to
guy?
the ground too.
Yeah, no.
So Johnny, as we're kind of wrapping up here, man, like what is next for you, but where do you want this to go? Like, what's the vision? What's the dream? Have you already achieved it? What does that look like for you, my friend?
Great question. No, I don't believe I've achieved. I believe like I'm just beginning. Beginning. Sharing all of these modalities. My vision is to raise up the consciousness and to awaken every individual that I connect with. And in doing so, and like the men's group that I'm building, I want to build that group so it's a larger, it's a movement that is going to occur. You know, it's not just, it's from men all over the world, and slowly begin to build these connections and these tribes of not only men. I have other ideas as well for everybody, but is to raise up consciousness in every individual, is to start to awaken the spirit within everybody. So for myself, it's really to do that within my business. Courses are going to be coming out left and right, and my outreach, I hope to be, by this time next year, I hope to be worldwide. I hope my message spreads much further. I don't plan on stopping until I can reach as many people as I can. And it's not about the money. It's just about, it's about this. It's about this. I want everybody to just find their superpowers within, man. To live their lives as best they can, because I know I've been there on that side where I've been kind of looked upon as, yeah, you did this, so now you're not part of our community. And deep down, I'm like, I just made one mistake, man. I made a couple mistakes. There's a lot more in me, and I'll never want anybody to have to go through that. That's not, that's not what it is to be human, So that's my mission, is to raise up consciousness and make sure that everybody's connecting with each other, and has modalities that have been kind of maybe stigmatized for a long time, and it's time to let them all out.
Love that. And that's why you and I get along so good. I mean, that's our purpose too, is to take the stigma off drug addiction and alcoholism and the labeling, always an addict, and that kind of stuff. Like, let's rise above that and become amazing people that we always were, and just didn't know it or got lost along the way.
Oh yeah. I've been working, some of the best conversations I ever have. I love talking to people that have been through it, man, that have been through the heat.
Yeah.
I want to hear their story. Like, I want those people I want them to come out the other side, because they're the ones that people are going to connect with.
Yeah.
They've been through the heat. They know what it's like to be downtrodden, this, that, the third. If that person can be a voice, I'll follow that person any day of the week, as opposed to the one that was sitting in a classroom all day long and just learned from a book. And this is how it's.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on our show. We appreciated the talk. I think you gave us some good takeaways, as well as information like Dal had never heard before. I hadn't heard before I talked to you, that I think our listeners would really enjoy getting some backstory and understanding of how powerful just the breath can be.
I appreciate the opportunity. So thank you, Angie, for connecting and for allowing me to have this space. I know I talked way more than you guys did, and you guys held the space for me. So thank you for.
You're our guest, though. That's the point. You're the guest. They're not here to hear us. They're here to hear you.
You're the hero in this story, Johnny.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Yeah, I'll hold the crown. I'll hold the crown for this session.
Hey, you wore it well, my friend.
I appreciate it, guys. Well, thank you very much. And I look forward to continue to connect with you guys, because I feel like we have a very similar values, mission, and vision. So let's continue to level up and coordinate together. I'd love to see that grow and flourish.
Awesome. Definitely. Looking forward to it.
Likewise, man. Well, I'll follow you on Instagram, and I'll put all your links and everything like that in the show notes, so the audience, and myself included, can find you and connect and keep it going.